As Lindsay mentioned, I am with the Office of Minority Business and Economic Development. It's a real honor to be giving this presentation with you all. I'm actually standing in for Annie Watley with the Office of Minority Education and Community Development. So this presentation is going to be a little bit different than what you received initially, but I am going to give a little bit of an overview of our office broadly, a little bit about what they do, and then I'll get into what our office does in particular. Let me see this clicker here. Oh, went too far. So this is just an outline of all of the departments. There's ED 1 through 5. ED 1 is the broader Office of Economic Impact and Diversity. Minority Education and Community Development makes sure that MSIs are able to participate with DOE programs. Office of Civil Rights and Equal Opportunity ensures that equal opportunity is had for all here at the department. And the Office of Diversity and Inclusion leads workforce diversity and workforce inclusion efforts at the department. Lastly, our department supports the nation's energy goals by more fully involving minority businesses and minority communities in energy sector opportunities, both at DOE and in the private sector. Thought I was forgetting something there. Nope. So we'll go ahead and start with what Annie's office does. Her office focuses, as I mentioned, on ensuring that MSIs get to participate in DOE programs. And this is a list of MSIs. I think often folks are here about one particular type of MSI. They might understand what an HBCU is, a historically black college or university, but they don't know that there's all these other categories, which includes Hispanic serving institutions, Native American, Pacific Islanders, tribal colleges and universities, and also another category of black universities and colleges that are called predominantly black institutions. They also manage a program for advancing research and technologies in the sciences called ARTS. In particular, the program that they're moving forward with right now is called Science and Sports, which aims to teach students more about science through sports, in particular basketball and baseball. There's collaboration with the Nationals, so that's developmental right now as well. Also, they have a Lab to Market initiative, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about later when I get into what we work on, because that's kind of where we collaborate. They have a database as well of their partners, in particular these universities and other stakeholders, called the Nucleus database. And they have a Minority in Education Institutions Student Partnership Program, which we're currently involved with right now, that allows us to bring in minority students to do paid internships at the Department of Energy, and not just at our office, but at some of the other offices as well. They also have scholarships and fellowships, and they provide technical assistance workshops. So our office, I think I went too far. Our office is focuses on minority business and economic development, and it's just what it sounds like. So we promote minority business, and we do economic development in the local community through public-private partnerships, and that involves the private sector and the government sector, but in collaboration with some state entities and local government entities as well. Firstly, we have programs that have developed an engagement plan to promote and increase participation of minorities in DOE's innovation and entrepreneurship programs. And some of those include SBIR and the Tech to Market programs, contingent obviously upon funding for the next year, and that's where we'll be developing our outreach plans around those. But we've already started with the SBIR program because those have been released. The FOAs are out right now for the first release of 2017, and the dates have been released for the first one for 2018, so we're already working on those two things. This is actually where we intersect with what the Office of Minority Education is doing as well, because we're doing outreach to the broader universe of colleges and universities to reach minority researchers, and their focus is also on colleges and universities, but on that specific subsector of minority serving institutions. So given that our efforts kind of coincide, we're working together to make sure that we do outreach to both those communities collaboratively, and also to leverage the capacity that they've built in that MSI community. One of the big projects that we engage in, as I mentioned, is public-private partnerships. The largest one and most recent is the Southwest Louisiana Partnership, and that involves stakeholders. It's a DOE-led through Embed, which is our office, plan to support community leaders' efforts excuse me, to create workforce training programs and strategies to engage the local community in large-scale energy projects that are going on in those communities. These are some of the things that are being developed right now, and I'm going to get into a little bit more specifics of the Louisiana partnership in a sec, but these are things that are coming up and will be finished soon. So, and one of the exciting ones was a Louisiana Business Connector, which allows for local businesses to be connected to opportunities, supplier development opportunities in their local area. And that's in the beta stage right now. It's already released. The website is up. They're currently in the process of seeking additional businesses to come on board with them, and that'll be done at the end of the summer. Additionally, we developed a community benefit toolkit to advance job creation and local economic growth associated with these large-scale projects. And that was built upon the best practices that the unit discovered, I guess you could say, through its engagement with this Southwest Louisiana partnership. And the goal of that was to kind of codify some of these things that could be used in other communities and replicated and benchmarked for similar large-scale energy projects that are being put together in those communities. Lastly here, we worked with a stakeholder, National Utilities Diversity Council, to create a national workforce diversity toolkit that allows them to forecast the future utility workforce needs and also allows them to share best practices and develop data on the current state of diversity in their communities. And this one is also going to be released soon. I forgot to mention the Community Benefit Toolkit will be deployed in this next year, 2017-18 year. And additionally, the Workforce Diversity Toolkit will be released in December of this year. Now I'm going to get into a little bit more about the South Louisiana partnership. And this right here is just a snapshot of opportunities, just to give a visual of the opportunities in this region. Here's a little bit larger view, just listing all of the LNG export terminals throughout the nation. And you can see that the majority of them are actually in this southwest region. And there's a few here outlined that are happening in the rest of the country. But as you can see, the majority of them are down in this area where we decided to focus our efforts. So what we have here is a confluence of factors that lead to some challenges and opportunities in the area. Namely, there's $117 billion worth of announced projects in this area. Of those, 43 have already begun their signed contracts, and they've already started construction on those projects. So what's happening in Southwest Louisiana is very extraordinary. You have these new projects bringing tremendous opportunity, and there's also tremendous challenges for both industry and the local community. Almost half of the local population are diverse communities, are individuals that come from diverse backgrounds. So DOE is working with those local communities and the governments to increase engagement and participation of those communities through our work with some of the local leaders. And we're doing that through Embed. Now, when we talk about challenges, the challenge is that there's projected 2,000 middle skill jobs that are going to be available over the next few years, with the peak of those jobs being available in the 2017 to 2018 year. So we're coming up on it right now, and we're getting very involved with these efforts. Also keep in mind that there's 300,000 of the population live in rural areas. So in order to address these issues, we have to work with the local folks that are kind of boots on the ground that know what's going on and know who all the players are. Some of the industry needs in this region include positions at petrochemical plants, LNG facilities, and also in aerospace. So what they really require is skills for welders and millwrights and process technicians. And these are not low-paying positions. They come in the ranges of between 43 and 51,000 starting. So these are great positions for folks in the community. And what we really wanted to do was be able to work with these local leaders to implement, community leaders to implement their plan for these workforce training opportunities and the opportunities to engage local businesses in those large-scale energy projects. And the way obviously, that was going to involve collaboration and planning. So this is a list. It's not a comprehensive list because there's a few that are missing from there of the local partners, which included the City of Lake Charles, the USDA. One of them is not on here is HUD. So one of the things I'd mentioned earlier, just to expand on that, the community developed a K through 1 education framework that had the goal of identifying gaps in education that would lead to more opportunities in the local workforce development programs and with some of these large-scale energy projects. That project was facilitated by the office and by my boss who's with us today, Karen Atkinson, to bring in the National Resource Network, which is a part of HUD. So they've been working very closely together. They just compiled some reports and turned those over to the community and engaged them to provide feedback on what they should do in terms of projects moving forward. One of the suggestions was a calendar of events and a mentoring project so that those students receive ongoing support as they move through the process of getting some of these training opportunities. So our role has been to convene these support efforts and align coordinated federal resources such as the one with HUD and some of the other federal partners. Essentially, we wanted to ensure that local stakeholders are, number one, aware of the opportunities that are available in the community, and we wanted to help them in developing strategies to maximize the economic growth opportunities. These are some of the training programs that have been put in place and that have been successful, and these are some of their success metrics. All of these are still in process. The SASO scholarship program, the second one mentioned here, SASO contributed over $600,000 in scholarships for this program. This is actually, the numbers need to be updated. I think it's closer to 90 participants that have participated now. And those funds are actually going towards continued programming in the 2017-2018 year. So they haven't finished. Also, Lake Charles LNG contributed over $100,000 to the scholarships for their welding program. Additionally, some of them were in other areas such as DOD, which trained 16 soldiers in a welding program, and a women's reentry program for some of the folks in exiting and transitioning out of correctional facilities. Lastly, just wanted to say that these efforts are continuing, and just recently we worked with some of these regional stakeholders to provide input about some youth entrepreneurship programs that they're developing right now that they plan to launch in the fall and continue in longer sessions, 2 to 3 week sessions in the summer. That is it. Here's my contact information. If you have any input or any questions, we'd be happy to have you reach out to us, and thank you very much.